Why, hello there. In this video, we're going to be talking about Trisha Paytas. Trisha Paytas is an online media personality who's been featured in shows like My Strange Addiction and music videos like Eminem's We Made You. She's been active on YouTube since 2007 and has made friends among the likes of Shane Dawson, Jeffree Star, David Dobrik, and other YouTubers with checkered reputations to say the least. She's recently come under fire after her abrupt departure from the popular H3H3 produced Frenemies podcast. After her departure, she made hours upon hours upon hours of content demonizing Ethan Klein, co-founder of H3H3 Productions, who also happens to be her future brother-in-law. She had previously left under less than appropriate terms twice before after hurling vulgarities on air at Ethan's wife, her future sister-in-law, Hila Klein, which is not uncommon for her. However, before we get into her abusive behavior throughout her YouTube career, I want to preface this video with a disclaimer. Many, including myself, have ignorantly defended Trisha's poor behavior without knowing the full scope of her actions because she claims to have borderline personality disorder. Her borderline personality disorder was self-diagnosed, and she has previously claimed to have several different mental illnesses which were abundantly self-diagnosed. We will also expand on those events as well. Borderline personality, though, is characterized through impulsivity, poor self-image, emotional instability, and impaired social relationships, particularly romantic relationships. They need a lot of love and struggle with a sense of identity, but they are not inherently abusive. BPD does not mean you are an abusive person, nor does any mental illness excuse abuse. Some famous alleged cases of BPD include Marilyn Monroe, who struggled with substance abuse and endured physical and/or emotional abuse at the hands of her husbands, Joe DiMaggio and Arthur Miller. She used her star power to help smaller actresses, particularly black entertainers, during the 1950s. Princess Diana, who struggled with self-image and an eating disorder for years, while the royal family abused her to hide Prince Charles' affair with Camilla, used her political power to help during the AIDS crisis against the royal family's wishes. And Jim Carrey, who's very open about his mental health issues and also endured abusive relationships, one culminating in a very public tragedy, used his star power to make children laugh and influence a generation. None of these people were or are abusive. In fact, they were more vulnerable to being abused because of their borderline personality disorder, and the stigma that borderline personality disorder entails abuse is one many sufferers wish to clarify isn't true. With that disclaimer out of the way, anyone trying to excuse Trisha Paytas' actions after this video are ultimately siding with a predator. It's been revealed that Trisha Paytas left bruises on her current fiancé, Moses' arm, after breaking into his phone, scrolling through his messages, and finding romantic, sexual exchanges between him and other women while he and Trisha Paytas were friends with benefits. Even if Moses and Trisha had been dating exclusively at this point, there's no excuse for anyone to leave bruises on another person's body, especially in this context. Furthermore, Trisha also expressed to only wanting to have sex with Moses to break his heart and annoy Ethan Klein, her future Frenemies co-host. So why get upset over someone you don't have genuine feelings for messaging other people? Moses revealed to a catfish account that he didn't have feelings for Trisha, and he found her threatening, but matters turned dire when Trisha allegedly threatened to kill herself if Moses left her. She also allegedly threw his keys into the distance so he was unable to physically leave her for 12 hours, and Moses himself has expressed that Trisha has ruined his life. Put a finger down if they've ruined your life. He currently defends Trisha and minimizes her feud with Ethan Klein as a battling between entertainers. However, this isn't new behavior for Trisha Paytas. It's also been revealed that Jason Nash currently suffers from PTSD after his relationship with Trisha Paytas, leaving him unable to develop new relationships. The alleged abuse includes chasing Jason Nash with a knife, crashing her car into his home where he shares custody of his children, and her running around naked in a hotel hallway while Jason barricaded inside another hotel room, fearing she might kill him that night.
I thought she was gonna kill me in my sleep.
Oh my god, Jason literally started packing his stuff. He's like, Trisha, I have kids, I gotta look out for myself, I have to go get a different room. And I'm like, I was like,
that's because she was running around the hotel totally naked, screaming and crying.
You thought she was gonna kill you?
Yeah, I thought she was gonna cut me up in my sleep. And then we were right on the water, so she could just throw my body right in there.
And you guys didn't vlog it?
No, it was so serious that I didn't.
Jason also defended Trisha and consistently excused her behavior because that's how victims operate during a relationship. Despite this, I don't think a mob of strangers should place pressure on Moses to leave Trisha. That's a family matter for his close friends and family to handle. In both cases, though, when the men decided to break up with Trisha, she tried sending a hate mob for both of them, assassinating their characters in the public and alleging pedophilia accusations against them.
I do want to add that this whole event came after her and her boyfriend got into a fight, and she already made a video about him, accusing him of flirting with underage girls, which she's since retracted.
It's totally different. First of all, it's totally different because
I know you guys had a nasty breakup. You drove your car into his house and stuff like that. So I just didn't want to be involved. And I saw you, and I left because I didn't want to have an interaction.
Now, if these accusations are true, both men deserve to face repercussions. However, it's curious to know that she only levels these accusations after a breakup and dismisses them when they get back together. Hindsight is always 20/20, but if you realize you've been with a pedophile, who would get back together with them? Furthermore, it's ironic to call someone else a predator when there's abundant evidence indicating that the real predator is actually Trisha Paytas.
book doesn't look down upon rape.
Trisha Paytas made a video recounting how Ethan Klein mentioned a scene from her OnlyFans to her mother and sister at Disneyland. She alludes to how Ethan is her manager, implying his behavior is sexually harassing, despite demanding 50% of earnings from the Frenemies podcast as an equal co-host and not as his employee. Although this is incredibly awkward for any typical family gathering, Trisha Paytas featured her biological sister, who also has an OnlyFans, and biological mother on her OnlyFans account. They were all wearing bikinis together, wrestling in a sexual context.
I've heard there's a video of you on OnlyFans of you wrestling your sister topless with your mom in the referee.
First of all, we're not wrestling topless. We're in swimsuits. We're in like red swimsuits.
Why is it on OnlyFans though? That seems kind of...
Yeah, because I think it's more like, well, for money.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
so are you
for it.
comfortable with people beating off to you and your whole family? That seems odd.
Yeah, why? I feel like that's a natural thing.
But I find it funny.
And or 3 incest dreams are actually very normal, and you're not a weirdo and a freak for having them. You can't control what your dreams are. It just means you want to be closer to that person. So if you have a dream like having sex with your dad or mom or sister, you want to be closer to that person and have a closer relationship with them, which actually kind of is true with mine anyways. It's totally gross when you wake up in the morning, you're like, oh my god, I need a shower, but it's kind of normal, so don't feel like a freak.
Furthermore, her public persona is highly cringe sexual, with her having made videos like 100 layers of cum on my face, so I don't blame Ethan for assuming they knew about the scene in question and believing they'd laugh at a lighthearted joke. The irony, though, is that Trisha Paytas has maliciously sexually harassed Ethan Klein since the beginning of their acquaintance. Since the beginning, Trisha Paytas has heavily flirted with Ethan Klein in front of his wife, Ela Klein.
I think you're...
The connection.
No,
There's
no
chemistry.
There's no chemistry, there's no connection.
I feel it.
There's not, I promise. Okay. I did notice that in your videos when you talk about me, she's winking at me and moving her shoulders in a way that... Do you think that's appropriate in front of my wife? What are you doing?
I don't
think it's appropriate.
I'm not doing it. Can you see your penis over your belly in the shower? How many people have you had sex with in your life? I just had such a vivid dream of you like getting banged by 2 guys, and I was like, oh my god, this is so awkward. It's fine.
Okay, let's talk about...
OnlyFans? Our collab? Do you... Oh my god, I don't know what to ask. Do you want to have sex with me?
Made undermining comments about their marriage, stating Trisha would treat Ethan better than Ela, tweeting how she wants to have sex with Ethan Klein, sending unsolicited photos of her vagina to Ethan Klein, an unwilling participant and married man, insisting they do a sex scene on her OnlyFans.
Do you understand, Moses, that the girl you're apparently dating has sent me, personally me, tweeted at me pictures of her vagina?
Right.
Do you understand what you're doing?
I think that's a problem.
Do you even understand? She, the girl that you're apparently dating, which you think is funny, wanted to have a throuple with your sister and your brother-in-law.
True.
Why don't you go cheat on Jason more?
With who? Who would cheat on him?
What were you doing in Colorado?
Seeing my family.
Seeing your family? What kind of backwards twist life you have? You were having sex with your brother.
I wish.
You wish?
I do. I love incest. That's one of my favorite role plays is brother-sister. Incest, daddy-daughter, mommy-son.
Brother and sister,
Brother
really?
and sister. It's my favorite.
How do you play
Just
it?
like, ooh, mom's gonna hear us, be quiet.
Pressuring him into confessing sexual feelings for her for months that don't exist, and even pleasuring herself while working on the Frenemies podcast to clips of Ethan Klein and his wife on their main H3H3 podcast. Let me make myself clear. She made a video pleasuring herself to Ethan and Hila talking on their H3H3 podcast. Ethan has time and time again dismissed this harassment, especially after Trisha, most likely considering the previous physical abuse and her pressuring Jason Nash into marriage, pressured Moses into an engagement.
There's one that Elvis marries you. And how iconic would that be?
I don't know. I think that's a big decision.
Why?
Because, like, I don't know.
It's a good vlog.
Ethan Klein wanted to keep the peace even though he was her target for sexual harassment. It's also curious how every time Trisha stormed off the podcast, unprofessionally I might add, it was always because Hila Klein, Ethan's wife, came up. Trisha Paytas, upon having her sexual advances to Ethan rebuffed, launched an onslaught against Ethan's family life.
Your life is sad and pathetic and mine is happy, thriving, so good
Mine
luck.
is not
Have
sad.
fun on your beach weekend, eating room service, trying to get pregnant. Have fun with that.
That doesn't sound sad and pathetic. That sounds like a good family life. Like I have good, fulfilling, and good deep roots with a wife that I've been married to for a long time. I've got a family that we're trying to build. And I've got...
Another time, when Ethan politely asked his wife not be mentioned in the podcast per his wife's request, to also keep the peace in the family, Trisha called his wife on air the C word and remarked upon how Ethan treats his wife like a princess, but not her.
I just hate people who think they're just too fucking good for shit.
It's not she's too good.
She has a fucking podcast. When you have a podcast, you're talked about. Your life's talked about. You guys talked about Moses and me.
Dude,
well before we did this podcast, you guys talked about us. Never once asked me anything.
No, it's because you always make the same
you guys
comment about her.
Asked me one thing this summer, or when Moses started dating. You never, but you guys talked about me.
I don't even know what you're on about.
Just all this
She
shit.
just doesn't want you.
She's
She's
too
not
good.
too good.
Don't fucking mention my name. Meanwhile, you guys can talk about whoever you want. You guys talked about me all spring without
You can talk about whatever you want to.
And finally, the last fight was due to Ethan's pregnancy announcement on the Frenemies podcast. Trisha had a severe issue with his mentioning the announcement, stating he had already mentioned it in his other podcast, so why mention it again?
It was like pregnancy announcement, which is I'm happy to talk about the pregnancy.
We talked a lot about the pregnancy here.
But it wasn't the pregnancy announcement. H3 Live was. It's your guys' thing, which I'm happy to talk about. I'm happy for you guys, but to say like, oh, we don't recycle things, it's like, you know, you do, and it's fine, but I don't make it the same title because it's not an announcement. We're talking about your
wouldn't
pregnancy.
say recycling. It's a different conversation.
The original one was
deal.
Trisha's gonna like something, and it doesn't have to be about me, but I'm just saying like the fact that it's a pregnancy announcement again when it's not a pregnancy announcement because I'm not pregnant. You know what I mean? We're talking about your guys' pregnancy. It wasn't an announcement. You announced it on H3 Live.
Despite this child being her future niece or nephew, she again stormed off after undermining Ethan's attempts to keep the peace, yet again, and made hours upon hours of content accusing Ethan of everything leveled at her. Furthermore, both Moses and Jason have repeatedly stated that Trisha forces them to have sex with her, despite their unwillingness.
Put a finger down if they were forced to sexually.
I wouldn't care.
You wouldn't care.
They all were in little race car outfits. What am I supposed to do? Not look at their hogs?
Trisha, you need to go get some serious help.
Maybe if you didn't and we had sex this morning, I would have been fine.
Maybe it's none of your business.
Like we've met a few times in real life, and I mean the first time we met, you flashed me to get there. As
Also,
soon
the
as possible.
flashing was
And
consensual.
I
Don't
waited-
make it seem like I just exposed myself to you guys.
No, Trisha, I would not. I would
Okay.
never ask.
And you should stop getting naked in my house.
She also tried publicly humiliating both of them by insulting their sexual performances with malice on her own failed podcast prior to Frenemies.
He is a very socially awkward person. He might have something like Asperger's or something like that. So like it's very cringe, but holy shit. Stop it! If a guy talks to you like this, run for the fucking hills. He hasn't been laid in fucking 20 years. Why do I always get the guys that are so fucking, they're so desperate and insecure?
This is ironic considering how she believes she was the renaissance to the H3H3 podcast, when in reality, she needed it more than they needed her.
I'm a fan of Louis C.K.
So I'm worse than him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't have a problem with what he did to women?
What did he do? I don't
He
know.
like jerked off in front of women and stood in front of the door so they couldn't escape.
And they weren't about it.
Trisha Paytas has used her sex work as a means to emotionally hurt her partners when they offended her.
And she pulls out her phone and shows me sucking some guy's cock.
Trisha?
Yeah, a picture of it.
Jason?
What?
Why'd you do that?
I thought it was funny that I still have that. I was like, oh look, there's a cock in my mouth. I thought it was funny.
You left a party the other day because a girl sat on his lap. And you show him a picture of you sucking another dude's
I thought it
dick?
was funny because
Talk about is having sex with people, including my dad, which is really weird.
I didn't say that.
Guys, in the comments, make sure you tell Trisha to stop talking about sexualizing my 70-year-old father.
Why? I'm not my friend.
Trisha,
Look how big his trunk is. That's not just a friend. And she wants to be part of the vlog squad? Go fuck yourself.
I thought you were exclusive with Jason.
I am. I've lived with my friend for so long. How are you?
Ooh.
Take that, David. I don't care if she fucks around.
How do you feel about that?
She's got pretty good taste. I mean, I don't know.
She's your girlfriend. You're supposed to say you're not.
Oh, yeah, I don't know if I... If I pulled up with some girl just now, you would have flipped the fuck out. Who was that?
He said you were singing. He's like, whenever Jason's in a good mood, he's singing. I'm like, oh, you were in a good mood the night after our fight?
I'm sure you can find a lot of things you can say about anything that I put out there and twist it in a way that, starts to fight.
This is why you are such a dangerous person, especially to be close with, because you'll take something that I've told you, you'll take something that somebody told you in confidence, and you'll use it, you'll weaponize it against them.
That's not true.
Ethan has also commented how odd it is that his brother-in-law's fiance sent him vagina photos. But to further compound on this, it's equally, if not even more odd, for her to have pleasured herself to her fiance's little sister and husband, out of spite for the several clashes they've had throughout the show. Furthermore, Moses admitted to Trisha not allowing him to speak to other women, not to like any other women's posts, and Jason followed the same rules.
Down if they wouldn't let you hang out with the opposite sex. Put a finger down if they wouldn't let you like certain people's photos. Put a finger down if they got mad if you didn't respond in 5 minutes. Put a finger down if they ever got physical or threw something at you. Put a finger down if you got to keep your location services on. Put a finger down if they threatened to kill themselves if you tried to break up with them.
You were declared 5150 that night, correct?
Because I overdosed. You get 5150 if you're attempted suicide.
Yeah.
It's not because I'm crazy as I try to kill myself.
So then when you started making videos and stuff about Jason, I only heard Jason's side of the story where he tried to avoid any contact with you.
Put a finger down if they've called you names. Put a finger down if they called you overly sensitive, but really they were just being mean. And lastly,
when Trisha found Jason's daughter's shirt in his house, Trisha accused Jason of having an affair and lashed out against him.
I think you have to be a lot less insecure about whether or not Jason is hooking up with other people. Like, Jason, what did she just do today?
She found my daughter's shirt and was like, who was here last night?
So it looks like a skinny girl, and that would not fit me.
Both men are highly uncomfortable around the idea of other women, and when others brought it up in jest, both men became highly unsettled.
Out of all the Kardashians, I'd probably pick her.
You pick Chloe?
To be friends with, not to be romantic with.
Who would you be romantic with of the Kardashians?
Kim.
You were supposed to say nobody.
Really?
Compared to you.
Kim Kardashian's very pretty.
You're not allowed to talk about women.
Oh, okay.
It's also of note, as any person who suffered from abuse, the little details. Trisha looks down on these men violently and has expressed pride in controlling them just through her stare alone. This was particularly evident when Moses denied breaking up with Trisha over her physical abuse, despite overwhelming evidence to the contrary.
He said he broke up with you because you started, like, punching him.
He's shaking his head no.
Oh, okay. You said I could say everything.
I did not punch him. You said that's why you broke up with me, because I punched you? I went like this.
Okay.
This was also repeatedly evident in her treatment of Jason Nash. Additionally, everyone is entitled to privacy. Trisha repeatedly breaking into their phones, revealing their messages to the public, broadcasting their issues to the public, and inciting a hate mob against them whenever they don't adapt to her commands is textbook emotional and psychological abuse. She also exposed private details about Ethan's previous substance addiction during his more depressed years because he called her crazy in jest.
And you're just not open about it.
I don't think that is a defining characteristic of who I am.
I think that is a big thing. That makes sense. Why? Because you're on medication now and there's no shame or judgment in it. But like, hey, if you're going to shame me for being off meds, you should say, hey, I'm on meds.
I'm not shaming you for being off meds.
That's what it sounds like. You just call me crazy,
but here's
which
what you
means
do.
I'm off
you know
medication.
What you just did? You're trying to see. This is why you are such a dangerous person.
From what fans have seen, Moses treats Trisha like a princess, encouraging her to eat as she pleases and building her custom gifts, including a fridge. Jason, on the other hand, made several comments critiquing Trisha's weight and eating habits. However, this physical objectification wasn't one-sided. Trisha constantly insulted Jason for his physical appearance in several ways.
Look how skinny you look, though. Look at your arm. him. Looks so skinny.
That's because I've been trying to work out.
No, Jason is showing pictures of him skinny, and I'm like, he looks a lot older. I think he looks way older when you're skinnier. It's not like you're fat. You're very, like, normal. But when you were skinny, you looked like you were dying.
Look, I was dying.
Kind of.
Okay, I think I always was.
And for what it's worth, I am like, and I know you're doing it for you, but I really don't like abs. I really don't like them. I think they feel really bad when you're having sex.
I just want to be able to like walk and not be like tight.
Neither negates the other, but depicting Trisha as a victim is a tactic often employed by abusers to cover up their tracks. Lastly, Trisha also seems to wreck through family lives without care for the impact. While dating Jason, the mother of Jason's children refused to let her kids around Trisha for obvious reasons. Trisha publicly insulted his ex-wife, a private figure, wedging tension between the co-parents, expecting people to attack the mother over a private boundary within a family. These are her children. Trisha at best is a stranger and a dangerous person to expose children around, particularly when she crashed her car into Jason's house where her children live. As alluded before, the Kleins have repeatedly tried keeping the peace with Trisha for the sake of Moses, Ela Klein's brother, but Trisha, despite their attempts at defusing the situation, escalates the situation, once again directing her attack at another woman. Ela Klein, unprompted, claiming Ela Klein's brother dislikes her and wants nothing to do with her.
And Moses doesn't like you, and you guys don't like him, and that's cool. I'm
See, that's
happy
the,
to
that you can't. That's stupid.
But it's true. It's so
well,
true.
that's fucked up. That's
You
the
guys
kind
are
of that's the kind of shit you say that makes Ela mad because you go, Moses doesn't like you, and so what you're doing, what you're doing is you're causing problems in their family.
That's so not true.
And that's fucked up.
She goes, you told
and
Trisha this.
she doesn't
no
want any more of that.
excuses. It's like, what the? Who the fuck are you, bitch?
Say what? What did she say?
She said, I read it. I saw it because I was on fucking TikTok.
Yeah, maybe you shouldn't read his private fucking messages
When
with
I'm
his
on
sister.
TikTok and there's a message that comes up and I see it, I'm not reading it. I see it.
Yeah,
and
no,
I see
you're
my
reading
name
his
being
private
brought up.
messages with his sister. You shouldn't do that.
Once again, this abuse against both women, Jason Nash's ex, who will remain unnamed for the sake of privacy, and Ela Klein, were unprompted, unwarranted, and only happened because they established a boundary which Trisha refused to respect. And on a side note, she also recently humiliated Gabby Hanna on her own podcast, who has her own set of issues not relevant to this video, after denying a 2-year-long friendship and treating her with a false air of superiority. Only severed ties with Shane Dawson after he spread a rumor about her STD status, despite overwhelming evidence of him having pedophilic tendencies, a racist past, and a toxic friendship with Jeffree Star, which included blackmailing and manipulating other creators for their own financial benefits, and only revealed David Dobrik's checkered past over a personal vendetta against him and the Vlog Squad, instead of for the honorable reason of trying to protect the victims. She, a grown woman, has attacked teenage TikTokers, the D'Amelio sisters, ironically, as we'll soon see, over a racist TikTok dance, and for having an attitude problem when she, a grown woman, also abandoned a group of very young girls at a party to be assaulted by her friends at the time, instead of intervening as an adult should. To make matters worse, after Ethan refused to continue the Frenemies podcast with her, Trisha made attempts to reconnect with the Vlog Squad despite her onslaught against them over setting up and filming the assault of a young woman and their repeated involvement with predators. And make no mistake, Trisha Paytas intelligently characterizes herself as an apologetic, ever-developing victim to her audience because she uses them to attack others over matters which should remain private or reported to the police. Not once did she expose a creator for honorable reasons. She's inherently an abusive person who's tricked her audience into believing she's a mentally ill victim to continue abusing those around her. Trisha Paytas wrote a song called Jungle Fever. The lyrics are very ignorant and stupid, so if you wish to skip over, please be my guest. But the lyrics are as follows. I may be white, but I got needs too, and I gotta do what I feel like doing, so I'ma get out of the valley, go down to Inglewood, and get me some. Jesus Christ. People stop and stare. They look at my body right past my face. People stop and stare a little more. Looks like I'm out of place, an interracial whore. Okay. I can't help myself when I see a man in fat farm jeans repping his team. Give me some cornrows with dreads down to there. What's inside your pants really isn't fair. Bro, stop. 'Cause I got jungle fever. It's driving me insane. I've got jungle fever and I can't complain. When you, oh my god, okay, when you have jungle fever, you get Jesus Christ. You get satisfied. So get some jungle fever and melt them inside. Bro, I didn't even read this part yet. Jesus Christ. Jamie Foxx is fine and LeBron makes me squeal. Take me to a Tyler Perry movie. It's a done deal. God, Jesus Christ. Get me home in bed. See the top of my head. The man at Air Track said me thick, keep your fat baby got back. Bro. Cause I got jungle fever, it's driving me insane. I've got jungle fever and I can't complain. When you have jungle fever, you get satisfied. So get some jungle fever and melt them inside. Cause I got jungle fever, it's driving me blah 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 blah. Basically repeats over and over again. So that was an abomination. But to break it down, not only does the name have racist implications coming from a white woman, but her fetishization and capitalization off of black men reveals how she sees black men as sex objects. Never once has she publicly dated a black man or had a romantic connection with a black man. In fact, Moses possesses the darkest complexion among Trisha Paytas' partners, with the rest being overwhelmingly blonde and blue-eyed. Plus, her mention of Inglewood is her attempt to feel some sort of street cred, which every basic white girl tries to possess now that it's trendy, but the closest they come to black impoverished neighborhoods are the gentrified cities built upon their remains. She's also said the N-word several times and says it's racist for her to not be able to use it, which is an excuse many entitled white people make when boundaries are established between them and a culture they've oppressed.
I have to stop because I'm white, like I can't sing songs because I'm white. That feels racist to me. Like, you're not white, so you can't sing that song. Okay.
How has Trisha oppressed black people? There's a reason why she lives in a mansion in LA, yet only references poor black people in Inglewood when she wants to make money off them and treat them like sex objects. Furthermore, she sang NWA's F the Police while repeatedly mouthing and singing the N-word.
You niggas want some Nick cake. If you eat straight from the underground, a young nigga got it bad cause I'm
while also expressing surprise at the fact that police brutality still exists and addressing Black Lives Matter from her perspective as a white woman, proclaiming how she feels rather than providing anything of substance to the movement.
This is like, it feels like we're back in the 60s. It feels like it's like we reverted to this like decades and decades of people dying and for this, and it's crazy to me. And while another reason I want to make this is like a lot of people think, oh well, I'm very white privileged and I can't relate, and I can't relate to being black and being profiled based on my race. I can't relate to that, and I'm not going to pretend like I do. What I can relate to is being a human being with a family, and watching the video of Philando Castile, I think is how you say his name, his girlfriend recording his daughter in the back, just like of him dying, him being shot, and then just watching him die. You know, there's been debate in the past, like, oh well, this guy was attacking the cops or he was coming at him. Like, this guy was in the driver's seat of his vehicle, like reaching for his license registration. It's like this to me, I think, really just like hit home and like solidified that like there's a major problem. Not that the other ones weren't, but you know, you always hear, oh, there's the debate, like, oh, what were they being violent? It's like, or I'm gonna forget his name, Alton Sterling, the guy who was selling CDs, like selling CDs, like it boggles my mind. And while like I said, I can relate just on a human level. I think just like with the Orlando shootings, Christina Grimmie, we're gonna talk about the police officers in Dallas in a minute, and then, you know,
Once again, when someone gets murdered for the color of their skin, she puts herself in the center because she's very white-oriented. She also alludes to the debate of violent criminals when addressing an unarmed man's murder at the hands of the police, and rants on and on about how we're all human beings, which is a measure to erase and distract from the point that one group of human beings who share her complexion have colonized, enslaved, and continue to murder and abuse minorities. She also provides no sources in her description to support the Black Lives Matter movement, and instead features lyrics from Michael Jackson's Heal the World. She's also mocked Japanese culture for money. She's claimed to be an albino black person, which is abundantly ridiculous, but indicative of a trend where she treats minorities as cash grab opportunities, much like her colonizing ancestors used us and continue to use us for their financial gains.
Well, my parents are white, and I've always kind of just stuck by that story until lately. I don't know what I am anymore. So everyone from day one, like when you look at me as like a little girl, like obviously my hair is crimped right now, but I have really, really coarse textured hair that a lot of Caucasians don't have. And as like a kid growing up, like I used to have a lot of hair with no extensions or bleach or anything. I had a lot of hair and it was really textured and like coarse, and like I always got made fun of it. I went to a mostly Caucasian school. Because like when Abraham Lincoln freed like our slaves.
She appropriated Hispanic culture and style, once again, for monetary gain, while insinuating she voted for Trump for stronger border control to prevent what she calls illegal immigrants and drug traffickers, despite having a drug addiction of her own and committing crimes repeatedly.
The problem is when they enter illegally, or drug trafficking, which is the wall. The wall, I suppose, is not to be like, we don't want immigrants. It's to control who does come into our country.
Our slaves.
Because we have so many illegal immigrants in this country right now. I live in California. There are so many taking our job.
Now, her fetishization of Jewish men has crossed several anti-Semitic lines as well. She appropriated the faith, dressed as an IDF officer, which is disturbed on several levels, wears Israeli flags, which is not associated with Judaism other than just as an ethno-state, regarded Ethan Klein as Jewy when he asked for an extra 5% from her already generous 45% pay to give extra money to the crew for their hard work, demands the crew gets fired and replaced, which means they would lose that money.
The other day, they had a doctor talking about COVID-19. I was like, eee. I think they need to start with just getting rid of all the interns that work for them, like Dan and all them. They're just awful. They're just awful.
Refuses to listen to Ethan when he highlights her disrespectful rhetoric regarding Jewish people and their faith, calls Jewish people anti-Semitic if they don't accept her as Jewish, even though she still believes in Christ, claims Jews are in the upper echelon of the world, which has always been the excuse white supremacists use to Holocaust Jewish people, wears the Star of David like an accessory on her clothes or as jewelry, commented on how she might only be interested in her fiancé because of his Jewish background alone, disregarding his humanity as an artist.
I think it's like fun now. He's like a toy. It's like, ooh, I got a Middle Eastern, you know?
Oh my God.
Minimizes Ethan and Hila's Jewish backgrounds to emphasize her own supposed Jewish identity as an Israeli.
People can say they're a Jew and I can't say Jew lunch.
I have to stop because I'm white. Like I can't sing songs because I'm white. That feels racist to me. Like, you're not white, so you can't sing that song. Okay.
Hey, I'm like promoting this like culture.
Yeah, but you're kind of like, this is kind of like cultural appropriation, isn't it?
Appreciation.
Right, okay. That's the
I think it is the American Jews that get angry, which aren't real Jews. You're like,
what?
It's like,
this is kind of like cultural appropriation, isn't it?
calm down. You're from Ventura, California. Like, you know, you don't know the struggle. He's Israeli. They were slaves in Egypt. Like,
he wasn't a slave.
His ancestors were. Your ancestors weren't.
Pharaoh was in Egypt land. Let my people go.
This is kind of like cultural appropriation, isn't it? Wait, why? Well, how do wait? What?
Because he's in the land of the free. The free. Anyways, this is
you know that. Wait, hold on. You know that Jews who moved to Europe, which is where my ancestors come from,
right,
have a common origin. That's what being Jewish is.
Right, but they weren't exiled.
That's why they live in Europe.
No.
So where'd they come from? Where'd they come from, Trisha?
I don't know, but
this is kind of like cultural appropriation, isn't it?
And hides behind her secular Jewish boyfriend to deflect valid criticisms over her appropriating the Jewish faith. Furthermore, while Palestinian protests were globally rising to support Palestine against Israel's genocidal and colonial intentions on Gaza, where Israel targets families to end Palestinian generations, hold them in an open-air concentration camp, contaminate water sources, steal their houses and give them to Brooklyn Jewish colonizers, bombs apartment buildings, hospital roads, and mosques, imprisoning and torturing hundreds of Palestinian children a month, all of which are crimes against humanity and considered international war crimes, Trisha decided to mock the Palestinians during their genocide, which is still going on today.
Can you stay up all night?
Anyways, we're for Israel, not Palestine.
No, I'm saying that.
Oh. What do you mean we're not for Israel?
We're for people.
Okay, we're for all people, but Israel all the way.
All
Trisha Paytas is the poster child of white women's tears. When she cries, people sympathize with her and forgive her despite physically assaulting and raping her partners, demeaning Black, Hispanic, and Japanese people, wrecking families, mocking the Palestinian genocide, disrespecting the Jewish faith, fetishizing the Jewish ethnicity, and emotionally abusing those around her. She knows and expects her tears to wash away her accountability, and people who've been brainwashed into thinking a white woman crying over her own misdeeds and abuse is a proper apology start attacking the masses who actually want to hold her accountable. Never once did she apologize to Ethan Klein, Ela Klein, Moses Hackman, Jason Nash, or the Black, Japanese, and Hispanic community. She just cried, made fake promises, and continued her entitled behavior. So why didn't anyone call her out sooner? Trisha Paytas was framed as a mentally ill victim on the Frenemies podcast, which renewed her reputation with a new audience from the H3H3 podcast. They were, in general, unaware of the details behind Trisha Paytas' career on YouTube and accepted her by proxy of H3H3's podcast. She was introduced as having borderline personality disorder, which was self-diagnosed, which explained away her claim to dissociative identity disorder, which was also self-diagnosed, and her claim to being a trans man in a drag queen's body while in the same breath saying she has no gender dysphoria and is perfectly okay with her female body to those unfamiliar to the symptoms of borderline personality disorder. And let me reiterate, borderline personality disorder is not inherently abusive or toxic. Princess Diana and Marilyn Monroe were driven to help people because of their inner pain and good heart.
And still, I am meeting patients like her, rejected by family and past friends. It is hard to find words to express the aching loneliness and rejection I have found them experiencing as they approach the end of their lives.
I think you're the saddest girl I ever met.
First man never said that. I'm usually told how happy I am.
That's because you make a man feel happy.
Borderline personality disorder doesn't make you do anything other than suffer from self-image issues and self-love issues. Trisha Paytas is just a bad person like Onision, Rice Gum, and Social Repos. The reason her claim to dissociative identity disorder and borderline personality disorder is an issue is she claims to have several mental illnesses and uses them to justify her poor behavior, which stigmatizes the mental illness to her audience unfamiliar with mental health. Instead of taking accountability for her actions as she claims, she uses mental illnesses as an excuse for her racist, abusive, and damaging behavior.
So much yet. I mean, because I had my blackout moments where I woke up and I was like, I didn't want to do that.
No,
like,
I understand.
I don't know.
I get it.
So,
and so that's
I don't want to do that. I don't want to hurt anyone, even in my relationship now. I am trying to like sabotage it to not make it last because I don't want to be harmful to anybody, and I am. I'm dangerous to myself. I'm dangerous to other people, and it's bad.
Okay,
you know?
so stop. And so Ethan, can you see how when you say something like this is a weaponized, you're attacking me, that's tough territory for her right now. You got it?
Yeah, no,
you understand? Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
So here's the
I hit him last summer, and it doesn't matter the circumstances. Like, I hit him, and that gets thrown in my face all the time, and it's fine, but I'm not a domestic abuser.
Said he broke up with you because you started like punching him.
He's shaking his head no.
Oh, okay. You said I could say everything.
I did not punch him. You said that's why you broke up with me, because I punched you? I went like this.
Okay.
Uber bag.
I thought you're into fitness. Oh, sorry. Someone did say that. I said I never abused it to you.
She gave Jason PTSD, which Moses might end up developing too, impairing him from developing a relationship with someone else for a while. She aggravated Ethan's depression and anxiety and his Tourette's until he reached a point of physical pain while mocking and insulting him for his tics. I'm currently editing the video, but there's been recent revelations that I found out that Moses might actually have autism, according to what Trisha has revealed.
What's that?
It's like a spectrum of colors.
Oh, okay. Well, you're on a spectrum.
Yeah.
And then, and I say that with love, with so much love. I love that you're autistic. I love telling people that because it's so cool. And then,
which recontextualizes her comments regarding his social awkwardness, regarding different facets of his personality.
How do you not know this is a catfish? Can we talk about water while we have sex?
this guy also thinks he's water. I've deleted the videos, but there's literally a video where he thinks he won't die, where he thinks he's water. He truly feels that he's born water. Guys, I'm not saying this to be mean. Like, he is a very socially awkward person. He might have something like Asperger's or something like that. So like, it's very cringe, but holy shit.
Not only that, but there's also speculation that she made him get rid of his 4 kittens because he was paying too much attention to his kitty cats than to her.
He doesn't even like cats.
Dude,
he doesn't even want
stop.
cats because he's
Calm
like,
down,
they ruin
bro.
his shit. Like, the fact that you guys are
Moses doesn't
that.
want his cats?
You're the reason we keep having to come home. You're the reason that man's keep trying to leave in the day. We could be out having pina coladas by the pool, but we gotta come home and visit these little bitches. What's this one's name?
Rain.
Rain, is this your favorite, right? Rain's gotta go.
Dead.
Dad.
Like I'm.
But you're not a dad. Or you're a dad now.
I am. I have 4 kittens.
That's all you post on your Instagram story. That's the only text messages I get from you are kittens of your video of your kittens.
Moses?
In my living space.
So he'll keep him at the museum.
Okay, so y'all saw like this really cute video that Moses posted about how he saved the kitten from being all tangled up. Everyone liked it. No one brought up anything bad. Someone pointed out that Trisha made him get rid of his 3 cats. And that he was allergic to cats and that he never had them, but I would like to say otherwise.
And not only that, but Moses has actually commented that he wouldn't find it too surprising if she actually killed his cats. She's inflicted psychological harm onto others, which they now have to deal with, and characterized herself as the victim. She aggravates others' mental illnesses without consideration because she believes her feelings are the only ones that matter. She belittles and projects malice onto other creators with mental illnesses, hurting their feelings because she doesn't respect anyone's mental illness. Furthermore, it's quite evident that Trisha Paytas is obsessed with herself, believing every man wants to have sex with her, every person who critiques her is a bigot, and even when a black unarmed man is murdered, she and her feelings about it, a white, blonde-haired, blue-eyed woman who burns her skin to appropriate an ethnic look without the violence that comes with it, is still the center focus of a Black Lives Matter video. And let me make this very clear. She plays dumb, but she's not dumb. She's academically illiterate and possesses hardly any intelligence regarding basic geography, culture, history, or science, but she possesses a high level of intelligence in social manipulation. No good person exposes their mental breakdowns for millions of views and cash. No good person exposes private fights with unwilling participants for millions of views and cash. No good person objectifies and fetishizes people on the basis of their race for millions of views and cash. And finally, no good person flaunts how much money they have when there's a pandemic and rising income inequality, housing prices, stealing away her audience's economic stability.
All of them.
Hey, you want to go spend $7,000 at Coach?
Coach is trash. It's literally like, I won't even say what, but it's trash.
That's like eating a buffet in front of starving people. Whether she has mental illnesses is neither here nor there. Frankly, a majority of people are afflicted with mental illnesses, including those around her, yet they manage theirs in the privacy of their own circle. Trisha markets off it, is excused because of it, abuses others with it, and she knows it. Once again, as just a reminder, she tries seducing Ethan Klein away from his wife just because Ethan didn't like Trisha. She knowingly abandoned very young girls to a party with alcohol where they later got raped, and the video filming it was released as daily content. She physically abused Jason and Moses to a point where Jason legitimately feared for his life and developed PTSD. She is the Onision of Valley Girls.